Alien Paradiso, I think is how you pronounce it, or Paradiso. I'm not 100% sure. I remember seeing a promo for this, and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. I mean, I'll always want to go back to Dark Horse comics, regardless. Right now, I'm in the hunt of trying to find the comic version of Alien Genocide, because I'm going through the novel, because that was the first thing I ever read. And I didn't even know at the time when I was a kid, when I found all the novels, I didn't realize that they were based off the comics from Dark Horse. So I've been reading the Genocide novel again, and it feels so good to get back into that universe, and I can't wait to actually finally read the comic in its entirety rather than seeing the not the novelization, what's the word I'm looking for? Audio drama that Alien Theory did. So with that said, I pick up occasionally Marvel's version just to see if we can capture that magic again. And it's been hit and miss. I've gone through a few, so I'll leave some cards throughout this review so you guys can check them out at your convenience. But I liked this one from the fact that we are not on a barge or a freighter or a ship where the aliens lurk in corners, because that is just done to death. This actually takes place on a settlement planet called Paradiso. So if you guys want to kind of get the gist, let me find the things and stuff. Where is it? Here. So this is like a gambling planet. So take it like that. And I love how here we get the motion tracker, and then we have all the little casino slot machine digits on there, so that's kind of cool. So here is the read-up of the issue. Pause it, check it out. This is Steve Fox writer, which I've never heard of him. If you guys know some other stuff that he's worked on, let me know. Edgar Salazar doing the penciling, Victoria Nava doing the inks, Carlos Lopez doing the colors, Peter Nugan, I can't remember if it's in it's silent or if it's Gaian, doing the xenomorphic point of view art, VC's Clayton Cowles doing the lettering, and there's everyone else working on the book. This is part 1 of 5. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue all the way, but essentially there's this planet called Paradiso, and it's supposed to be like a vacation spot. People can go gamble, Now, right off the bat, the one thing that this book reminded me of is Dead Island, if you guys have ever played that, but that was with zombies. But, you come to this beautiful resort, and we kind of get all these semi-gray characters, because we open up on these mobsters coming into this vacation spot, and it's like, let's go make ourselves some real fucking money. And that's another thing. So Dark Horse wasn't afraid to throw in language. Marvel has the license now. They really should do kind of like, remember, I think it was back in the 2000s, remember how they did Marvel Max and everything was like to the extreme, and there was cussing and blood? It was kind of like Dark Horse or Image. I wish that Marvel would do or if you don't want to do DC, do like a Black Label and say this is Marvel Black Label, and that way they were not getting the money. It just feels so cheap. And that's just a personal frustration of mine. Another thing that I'm going to say is if you look at the old Dark Horse comics, of course, traditional penciling, everything looked nice and crisp, but they make it dark, whether it be with the inking of making the lines more jagged or the coloring of the color palette. Everything that we seem to pick up nowadays always has this clean, polished look about it. And it just, to me, that's what I mean by it feels flat. So let's just say, for example, let's go back to the 60s, shall we? See how before the days of digital color and how everything just hit the inks, everything just looked more dynamic and gave it more spatial look about it in the old nice action lines to just make it look so engrossing and why it was fun. Now everything just feels so clean. And now, hold on, I'm going to give you another better example. So spoilers, if you don't want to be spoiled, pause this review, go get the book, read it, and come back. There's a part where we see the alien on Paradiso. And that should be like, holy crap, that is intense. Seeing the alien's tail go through this dude's chest and out his mouth. Woof. But because of the use of digital coloring, 3D models, like this looks like something you just Google alien and then just like trace it. I'm not saying that they traced it, but it looks superimposed rather than an artist's rendition like the old Dark Horse days. So as much as I want to be like, oh my God, that's painful, which it is, don't get me wrong, I would even take him more like an Ultimate Wolverine artist look here, but this just looks so flat and non-dynamic. I feel like this should have been more of a close-up of just maybe the alien's face, or maybe the dude's face or something. But this full place, which it's supposed to be like the shocker page, just feels so flat. And we get that throughout the entire book. We find that these two, they're on vacation. I don't want to give away the whole story of what's going on, but needless to say that they are here on the big quest behest, I know words, I promise, of a certain organization to watch these mobsters, because there's two different warring fractions that are supposed to come here and make a deal and sort of make peace and nice. And I do like the quiet moments where we see the tourists kind of coming through as we see these two doing all the monitoring. See this little boy saying, "Are there any animals here? There's some small, completely safe species native to the island that we made sure that they stay securely outside the rest of the resort for the comfort of our guests. However, for an additional fee, y'all can go have an authentic tour." So we see the juxtaposition here of just the people here wanting to unwind and have a good time versus those that are there for more cruel intentions, I guess would be of a lack of a better word. And that's where I will say, again, even though the artwork's kind of clean and flat, I do like here that they try to make the mom and the little boy more bright and hopeful, as were this woman who's part of this mob organization. Her color palette is more darker shades of her colors. Even her shirt, her clothing choice of just all black really clashes and just shows the difference of what's about to happen here. And then we open up and we see this other organization that's come to make a deal with this known mobster who apparently is a big deal, where if you say something wrong, he could just end you like that. And he knows he's a big cheese because he basically sticks the knives to anybody that wrongs him. And this other organization that comes to make peace, he even says, "You're late." He's like, this conduct comes off as pretty disrespectful, as I'm sure you can imagine. Now, as the book comes to a close, all hell breaks loose, and we come to find out why this guy was late. I don't want to spoil that. But one thing that I did find that was kind of interesting, let me see if I can find an issue that, or not an issue, but a panel without spoiling too much. But I like how as the book goes, we start to see the, what do you call it? The POV of the alien as it's born. And that's kind of interesting. See how we go from this clean look here to more jagged, dark, very heavy black and white contrasting colors with just a little bit of use of like green or the red of the chest burster. Now, if they would have used this type of color palette for the comic, I think I would have been more on board, in my personal opinion. That would have been like, hell yeah, because I just would have captured that old school Dark Horse comic. That's why I really praise that. What was that we went over? Aliens, Black, White, and Blood, that first issue with the progressive people. What was it? It's not the PPP, but you guys get what I'm saying. Because they just captured that black and white grittiness, and this kind of has that same concept. So if they've been able to implement this type of, I know this is supposed to be the aliens' point of view, but if they would have taken this type of idea and applied it to the rest of the book, I think I would have been more on board. Now, with that said, I wish that they wouldn't have waited so long to introduce this other crime organization, or the way that they just all of a sudden bring in the alien. Now, again, this is only part one, so we can fingers crossed that they flesh that out more in the next issue. However, if you go back and read the original Alien Earth War by Dark Horse, I think it's called Alien Omnibus 1 now, or it's just called Alien. I can't remember the title. But anyway, when they first introduced the first alien that came to Earth, they talked about this derelict freighter ship. And they have these guys that come in and they're supposed to clean junk out of Earth's atmosphere, essentially. And they show all the alien wreckage and people saying, "Kill us all." Da, 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 da. But then, as all that carnage is shown, we see this lone escape pod going, and it talks about the freighter's captain with a facehugger on his face, and how the biochem or something like that takes him in, and you just start to feel all the build up with him and Hicks and Newt. And the way that they drew the Facehugger in that issue with the spines on his back, oh, still gives me chills to read about. I wish that they would have done something like that rather than showing the carnage in the first issue and then saying, you know, now, then, and then we get these guys at the end. It would have been interesting to do. And Dark Horse and a lot of older comics were really famous for doing this, like open up and have like a picture of space with that mobster's ship. And then like do quiet panels of like gore and deep shadows and say something like space can be, have like little title saying space, a vast empty space, whether it could be a moment of peace or reflection or your worst nightmares come true. And just have like the dialogue juxtapose the panels and not give too much away, but at least let you know the idea of like having that freighter overshadowing Paradiso. And then cut to that. Something like that. And then leave all of this for the later half of the issues. Because then we would care more about these mobsters that are coming to make a deal with this cat, rather than just seeing some shock value with a lot of talking. That's my personal opinion, and that's just the type of alien comics and novels that I read growing up. What do you guys think? If you've enjoyed what you've seen or you're curious about Alien Paradiso, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics and grab this series. I am going to grab issue 2 out of sheer curiosity and see if it picks up. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Xenomorph bell, next subscribe. That way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials. We'll try and we'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.